Well, welcome everybody. Before we get started, I want to introduce myself and the teachers that came with me tonight. I'm Jill Vanderlinden, the principal at Lakeview. This is Sandy Lewis. She's our third grade teacher, and this is Miss Shraki. She is our RSP teacher. So welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. So we're excited to share with you a little bit about our program. As you heard, it's all basically centers around science, technology, engineering, art, and math. I'm going to start out with a quick video that just gives you a little snapshot of our school.
Lakeview offers rigorous and innovative instruction that deepens learning through an emphasis on science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, also known as STEAM. Students are immersed in project-based learning, which provides them with opportunities to think critically, be creative, problem solve, persevere, innovate, and be future ready. With a focus on non-fiction text and the next generation science standards, reading, writing, and language are embedded throughout all instructional opportunities the entire school day. Technology, including coding, robotics, and 3D printing design, is used as a tool each day to enhance the learning experiences. Engaging students through real-life problem solving makes learning meaningful, exciting, and fun. Learning is enriching and engaging every day at Lakeview.
So now we're going to take a look at STEAM in the different sections and different letters. In each category, there will be a video that displays, gives you more information about each section. And just so you know, those were created by our own students in our digital art. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Sandy Lewis. So like Ms. Vanderlinden said, we have 5 letters that really drive our curriculum: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And you might wonder, well, how do we implement science? We have several different ways that we implement science, mostly through project-based learning, like Mrs. Hope or Dr. Hooper said. But we actually have a very unique language arts program that is the only school in the district that has adopted a particular language arts program that is very rich in science. So we're able to implement the core curriculum of science and social studies through language arts. So kids are reading, writing, and doing grammar and learning spelling and patterns and things like that, just basic foundational skills through our language arts program that's rich in science. In addition to that, we actually augment our science or our language arts program with a program called STEM Scopes and Mystery Science, which we purchase, and a lot of other schools in the district don't have those. Those are unique also to Lakeview. But most importantly, we have so many hands-on science investigations because we have an on-site science and engineering lab where we're actually just about to outfit with about 30 brand new 3D printers. So children can create and code in a program called Tinkercad. It's really good because it implements or it ties right into everything else that we do at Lakeview. And if you get a chance before you leave, you can look at our current 3D printer model that we have here that I just printed out our Ocean View logo with today. But that's really, science in itself is the driving force, and I think that's why it's the first letter in our program. And then we're going to have Mrs. Shrub. Oh, so actually, sorry, like she said, there is a video. So what you want to look for in this video is the way.
Hi, I'm Lola.
Hi, I'm Zach.
And we're the producers, editors, and videographers of this video.
I hope you enjoy Lakeview as much as we do. Thanks for watching.
In my laboratory, we have some. She led me to a funny cone-shaped with deep red flowers.
Okay, so it's the T part of STEAM, but I have things I can read here, but I just want to say, to add into what she's saying, technology accesses, or we use our technology at school to access all of these other parts of STEAM, but you see it all through the school. So it's not just a buzzword like technology, oh, it's the buzzword, you know, we hear all these things. You see it in every part of the school. You see Chromebooks, you see every child has a Chromebook. You see things like 3D printers. You see, we have the robotics program where the kids are learning to code and they're using the robotics and they're building them themselves. And then lessons that go in with that, and it's just helps them. Not only is it it's a tool, it helps them to think critically. They're learning how to use those tools in ways that help them learn more. So everybody knows that technology, you know, is the future. Everybody knows about Chromebooks and computers and programming and all that kind of thing. But it's more than that at the school. It's really about helping students go further and deeper into a subject. So it's not just about sitting them in front of a computer, but it's teaching them how to research, how to use, how to be, you know, users of the websites, you know, critical thinkers that understand what is primary sources versus secondary sources, all those kind of things that you and I probably did in school where we did it from a textbook. They now can do it with technology, with that even critical piece about now these times where you really have to have exposure and be guided by a teacher about what's the right thing to be looking at, how do I look at that, what is the critical thinking piece that goes to this. That's throughout the school, every grade level. We have robotics, which is throughout the school. Every grade level has the opportunity to work with robotics. Our upper grade students have the opportunity to participate in a robotics club where they compete with other schools, and they have that competition feeling and, you know, motivated to do that for their school. The last piece, which is maybe counterintuitive, but technology really adds to the collaboration piece in a school. It really, they have it set up in the schools where they have project-based learning, but they use the technology, and with that technology, not to isolate themselves into that computer, but to actually join in and work together. And as you watch this next video, I want you to kind of keep your eye out and look for how that's happening, how you see that they're working together, even though they're on the computer.
My favorite project so far is what we're doing right now. We are making plastic recycling robots. We are learning how to protect the environment. I think it's pretty fun and good for the environment.
So now we come to the E, and actually E is my passion. I love engineering, probably because before I started teaching, I had an engineering degree, and decided that was a little bit too boring. I wanted to spend my time with kids. But the way that engineering is implemented at Lakeview is through NGSS, which you've probably heard that acronym before, but it stands for the Next Generation of Science Standards. And although it's been around since 2013, many teachers, even though they are actually obligated by California Ed Code to teach engineering at an elementary level, many don't. And what's really great at Lakeview is that we embrace it, and we really, really work it into all of our projects that kids are working on. And we go over it, when you guys were probably in school, you learned the scientific method, right? A hypothesis, and proving it, and observing, and researching. Now we dive into a thing called the EDP, which is the engineering design process, which is ask a question, identify, imagine or create a solution, and then go back and improve it and see if it, just like real architects and engineers do in corporate America. They try to figure out the problem, and they go through that cycle constantly. So we teach them that process and how can you improve your design. We also engage in a thing called the 5 E's, which is up here. And that stands for engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. So that's really, really diving deeper into, can you take what you've learned and apply it to a different situation, a real life situation. And that's the lens that we apply engineering through as well. So when you look at this video, look at some kids trying, we have a really cool acronym that we use a lot in engineering, which is don't be afraid to fail, because fail stands for first attempt in learning. And kids embrace that. They're like, oh, I messed up, I failed. But they know that they just have to go back to the drawing board and try again. So watch for
We started in the classroom making the airplanes, and then we got in here and then we tested it for the cargo, so we could know what is the biggest weight to lift. Some use a lot of cargo, and when they tried testing it, it didn't go through because it had a bunch of cargo, so the plane went down and it couldn't lift it down and it couldn't lift it to the other side to have it work around the other side.
I like watching the video. The next part in STEAM is the art. So this is kind of my passion. Sandy was saying how she has, but I think because I teach often, I am the resource teacher, so I teach all grade levels, all abilities. You know, everybody has different things they can bring, but art is such an opportunity for a lot of students to be able to not only express themselves or communicate, but to just really feel successful. I mean, it can be a great outlet, but it also teaches them a lot. But we have all the forms of arts. We have visual arts, of course, that would be the painting or creating. We have through 3Ds or paint, or just regular painting or drawing. The great thing that we have going on right now, and it wasn't reflected in this video that's a little bit older, but we've created an art lab, and it is, recently we've received funding through our PTO, so that it is well stocked. It is not a matter of a child walking in and saying, you know, you have a red crayon. I mean, there's everything they could think of to use, including these items that are just random pieces of something in case they want to use it to be incorporated to whatever imagination they have. I remember the days where, you know, finding tissue paper, you know, might be a thing, but we have every color of the rainbow of paper and tissue paper and pipe cleaners and all of those kind of things that you think about, and more. So obviously graphic arts, digital arts, that's part of it, again with that technology incorporating in there. I think the video kind of shows some of that, and you'll watch how kids get into it. And they are messy and they make messes, and of course we have ways of having them clean up their own messes, but it's great. Art's
Our class had been talking about Martin Luther King Jr. because we celebrated his birthday, but we decided to tie it in with an art project that used black and white and also used symmetry and reverse images. So the students had to cut out of white one side of his face and flip it over, and they had to learn how to use really intricate cuts. It was not easy for them to do, and then balance it on the opposite side. But overall, all the students kind of understood how to balance the two images opposite each other.
that video, you can really see how the curriculum's tied right into the art. I mean, the idea of symmetry, tied in, or even the fact that it was MLK Day and all the history and social studies that go with that. So it's not art for just art's sake. It's always tied into something in the curriculum.
And before we leave the idea of art, I wanted to give a shout out because that's your favorite subject. And when I was I worked for Northrop Grumman, which is an aerospace engineering company, and I had my degree in computer software engineering. What the biggest complaint is, and you'll talk to large companies like Boeing, the biggest complaint about engineers that come fresh out of college is they know how to solve any problem with any old algorithm, but they can't really think they're not, I think it's changing, but at the time that I graduated, they weren't able to think creatively to solve problems. So that's kind of where you probably heard STEM before, and that's why it became STEAM, because all of these big corporations pushed people, especially the educational world, to include that creative piece, because that's what makes an all-around good worker in the workforce. So that's what I wanted to shout out for the art. Math is everywhere. We do math all day long. We have tons of, it's an essential component across the curriculum. When we do a project, we incorporate math into measuring things, into data collection, time, calculations of, like right now, my grade level, third grade, finished a project on studying the honeybee. And we talked about math and how geometry and hexagonal shapes of a beehive ties into the way that they create their wax and things like that. So math is, like many schools have a math block, a reading block, blocks of time, whereas at Lake, everything is so integrated that we're doing every subject all day long, including engineering and science. So that's fun. When you watch this, you'll see how people are engaged in math blocks all day too.
The degrees was
58.
this morning. The temperature was
78.
this morning. The temperature was
58.
58 this morning. This afternoon, the temperature was
70.
70.
It went up.
This is yesterday right now, so we'll move it now. This morning was 58, and this afternoon was 70.
So how many more days?
What do you notice about what happened with the weather change from yesterday to today?
It got hotter.
It got hotter.
So I see a lot, ooh, that's a good one, Cameron. I see a lot of 4s and 4s. Is there another way to make it?
The best part about some of those lessons is the kids will walk out and go, I really like math. It's really hard.
So as Sandy was touching on earlier, the STEAM integration. So you can be wondering how all 5 of these subjects go together. So all of our teachers at Lakeview have been trained in a teaching method called Project-Based Learning, or PBL, in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time on maybe one type of subject. So for instance, Sandy's class has been working on a B PBL for when did you start it? 4 weeks. 4 weeks. So they've kind of touched on, they've done art, they've incorporated everything into it and have a product that they create together at the end, along with a lot of information from a lot of different sides of just one subject. Next week, we're having a beekeeper come, and the students will get to interact with a beehive and in a safe manner behind glass. But just bringing that to life and seeing real life applications to what they're learning in class. So the way we do this is to create a project, usually 3 a year, whereby each grade level works on a specific guiding question. They usually work in groups promoting the 21st century skills of collaboration and critical thinking to answer questions like, how do humans affect the environment? And just to give you a little tiny bit of background, Lakeview became a STEAM school roughly 5 years ago, I think, or 5 or 6 years ago. And Sandy Lewis is one of the people that kind of did all the groundbreaking work of making the foundations for it. All the teachers were trained. We had a lot of equipment. That was 5 years ago. So now we're here, that is not something that you do and you're done. It's ongoing. To be sustainable, STEAM is something that is ever changing. So at Lakeview, we have to stay like one step ahead. That's our goal, because it is ever changing. You can't just build a curriculum and stand by that from the beginning to now. We have to be ready. So our teachers are involved in professional development. We're working with a consultant right now just to make sure that we are staying fresh and we're staying on top of things, so that those practices that we are telling you about are in every classroom.
So those 3 projects that you just mentioned, those go out through the whole year. So there's a set of time for each project, and it covers all the subjects within that project.
Typically, it's broken down. Science is the driving force, so we do each discipline of science through our next generation standards, which is Earth and Space Science, Life Science, and Physical Science. So that's why there's 3 per year. So we sort of follow the trimester. We start off with Earth and Space Science and come up with, like Ms. Vanderlyn said, the guiding question. Ours for Life Science, we study a lot of animal adaptation. So it was, what would we do without honeybees? And that's what we decided to do for this year's. But last year it was how do animals affect the environment and how do animals adapt to the environment. So every year it's a different guiding question and usually a different project as well. So like she said, we've invested a lot of time in giving release days to teachers to research this and spend a whole day trying to compile a whole project. So
It touches on every single
that touches on every
subject.
Yeah. In fact, what's lovely is there's an accountability piece. Every grade level team has a template that says, where's your science standard fit in? Where are you fitting in technology? Where are you fitting in engineering? What are you doing for art? What are you doing for math? So, and how are you doing that? It's a driving timeline too that we have to check off.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And a lot of times the projects or the guiding questions, we want to make them relevant. So we'll pick things that are in the news. The oil spill, I think in a couple months ago, our 4th grade, they used that as their guiding question, and they came up with solutions, and created things that they thought would be effective to improve the situation. So, we want to be relevant because we want to be meaningful. I think we're running out of time.
And we want to be current. Like she said, like it's not enough to just continue to upgrade your 3D printers. Like we just applied, a few of us applied for a grant to get some drones because that's sort of the latest and greatest way to teach kids coding and teach kids how to creatively, it ties into everything. You can take pictures and write about it and read about it. And
so it's, we're looking at our program with a critical eye all the time because there's always something new, and if it's out there, we want to bring it to Lakeview for our students. So I feel badly because it looks like we're kind of out of time, but if no one comes in, you guys may want to go into another room to see another program.
Does anybody have any burning questions? They just want to.
Is this K through 5? Because originally I found 2 through 8. Okay, so K through 5.
TK.
TK through 5. Okay. And then what's the feeder? What's the middle school?
Vista View, and they're a STEAM school.
Oh, they are too. So continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of collaboration between, like in the robotics program. They'll help out. The kids will come in and they'll talk about just before they go to competition. They'll help the kids. They'll talk about how to compete, and it's great. Very
selective and change.
Yes.
Sorry.
Is it an open house where we can see the classroom?
Yes, there will be. The open house that we're going to have is June 1st. However, you can call the office and we can set up a tour for you. So please do that. We have a lovely office manager named Ryan, and he will set you up and will give you a tour of the schools so you can kind of see it.
We got down at March 3rd because that's Or
31st.
31st.
Yeah, just give us a call. I believe in the brochure there's email, phone number, so you can.
And it's even good to come during school hours, because then you can really see stuff.
Yeah, all of this stuff is real. It's really happening. It's not just on Please come and see.
And the enrollment process needs to be completed before March 31st.
That's March 31st. So if you're inter-district, so if you're in the Ocean View School District boundaries, then it's March 31st. And then you go on the website, you know, like they, like Julianne Sofer was directing you. If you're inter-district, meaning you're outside of a district, then starting March 1st, you would contact your district to go through that process.
Thank you.
How many kids do you have?
We're up around 400. And